All right, we're back for episode 3. Jord, how you feeling?
Feel great. 3 down. I mean, we're basically pros at this point. I'm waiting for our world tour to start.
I- Not quite that famous just yet. But you know what? I always sit here and enjoy talking hobby. So even if we don't even get big or popular, I don't care. Because you know what? I have fun doing this. I love we'd be talking about this anyway. So what's the difference between hitting the record button, throwing a camera on, and just doing what we do anyway?
Yeah,
and sharing it with the masses.
If anything, it just has me. It's helping my neck because I'm not looking down texting you, so I can now sit up.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good
So
point.
now,
So no more tech neck.
yeah. So yeah, now I'm just talking with you on camera, Kev.
Love it. Love it. All right, so let's jump into it, right? So first topic of the day, let's talk about the massive Wemby card sale that just took place. So if you didn't hear the news, there was a recent sale for $860K on Wemby's 180 Prism Nebula Choice Prism. It was a PSA 9, and it sold for $860K and $100 at Golden Auctions. So I saw this on social media getting blasted everywhere. But what I was so surprised to see is that like this went up and was for auction after the season ending injuries. Like after he got shut down, this still went for this much money, which I'm absolutely shocked. What do you think, Jared? Like, do you think that they still should have went for this?
So this may make me sound like a hater, but I am shocked because the thing that always worries people about these big men is their health, and blood clots are no fucking joke.
I know. I know.
Like, yeah.
Like that's the other thing people aren't talking about enough. I don't think is like it's not like he tore his like pec muscle or shoulder. Like
he's got blood clot. Blood clots at 24. Like I get worried about my heart at 36. When we play like 2 hours of basketball. So like getting a blood clot at 24 when you have a 7'5" body and like there's already one of the biggest knocks against Wemby is his size. Like he's kind of skinny. So the guy's got to put on weight, and like with blood clots, like you got a lot of stuff going in. And obviously there's, sports scientists, but I don't know. Like I'm not rooting for Wemby to be a bust, but these are early signs in year 2 that would have me worried, especially if I just paid $900,000 for a fucking card and the guy is out with clots.
I know. So obviously they still believe in the player and think it's going to only go up from there. And look, like, yeah, he's a generational talent. And by the way, neither one of us are doctors, so we have no idea what that means. But
wait, what do you mean? I'm a doctor, Kev.
Oh, you are? Dr. Jordan now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sports doctor.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Sports doctor. Yeah. So here's the thing, though. It's like, when you hear about, it's a knee issue, right? And like, sports medicine these days, like he can recover, he can bounce back. And like, there's not really too many issues. Like pitchers have Tommy John surgery. They come back, they're playing better than they did before. People tear their ACLs, they come back, they're better than before. But when you hear blood clots, like if you're not in the medical field, like you just don't even know what that means. Like, is this life threatening? Could this shut him down? What does it mean? You just don't know. And like that uncertainty would have me very skeptical on spending $900K on a 101 Wemby card.
My first thought was honestly Yao Ming. Like I remember when he was coming out, like who the fuck is this giant dude? Yao Ming was what, like 7'2", 7'3", 7'4", used to like body Shaq around, and then his body broke down because of the massive amount of weight he would have to carry, and like he couldn't handle it. And I instantly thought about that. Like, Yao Ming to me is always a big what if. You look at like those Tracy McGrady years when they were awesome. And like, what if Wemby slowly starts dipping into that what if category? Right now you have him paired with Chris Paul and then De'Aaron Fox. Like, could Wemby be a big what if guy? If like he starts having these body breakdown issues, every couple of years.
Yeah, and I obviously wanted to see how it affected the rest of his card market, right? So I looked at a quick search of like, let's look at all Wemby cards sold over the past 2 weeks with a minimum of 50 total sales, and a majority of his cards are still up. Like they're still standing pretty still. Some of the cards are down, so it seems like the hobby is split, right? So half the people think that probably not a huge issue. The other half think like, oh, I want to get out of this. This could be a potential monster issue, right? So they seem pretty split down the chain where you got like some price changes going up 100% and some price changes going down 20 or 30. So everyone seems kind of split on this, but I think this was the same. Someone told me this. I don't know if this is true. That Chris Bosh had the same injury, and like Chris Bosh could have had the, a
He
better career than he did if it didn't happen to him.
Chris Bosh had it late in his career too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it happened like on the Heat after everyone left. So like again, kind of worrisome. Like if I'm again, I'm not really a doctor, but like, I might sell Wemby. Like I think you're gonna get the max value for him right now, and wait to see. Maybe go back in the Wemby game in a year or two. But right now, I'm a little worried as a Wemby card holder.
I'm holding him. I'm not buying. I'm not panic selling. I think I'm just holding Wemby because again, the guy's still young. He is definitely considered to be a generational talent for sure.
Yeah. So Wemby's out for the year. What do you think that does for his trade value or his market value, card value?
Oh, I think it plummets it. But the thing is, what people are saying is because the Spurs aren't planning on making a deep run in the playoffs. Like, why wouldn't you just tank now, get your chance at a lottery, and maybe you get Cooper Flag? So imagine that team stacked, right? Like,
I mean, we talked a little about him last time, but like then you create that Tim Duncan, David Robinson type Spurs team. Yeah, you have De'Aaron Fox who can play that Tony Parker role, and then you're just looking for your new Manu Ginobili. And then you got a new little dynasty. Who knows if Pop's going to be the coach, but I'm skittish on Wemby right now because of this. And there's something about big men. I think back to like a Greg Oden, like these guys who have all the promise in the world and their bodies just fail them because like it's almost like the human body shouldn't be that big.
Oh, the Odin name scares me so much, right? Like, could he be that? And if he's that, like, think about all the money the hobby is throwing on. I'm not trying to freak everybody out that's listening right now, but
freak them all out, Kevin. Someone's got to be the adult in the room.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I'd be very, very, very nervous. I'm still gonna hold. I'm not completely giving up on my Wemby just yet. I'm still definitely gonna hold, but can't be feeling too good about the Wemby market these days. But we'll continue to monitor and see how that progresses for sure. So in some other news, so the Babe Ruth card, so that just shattered also a new record as we're talking about close to millions of dollars or millions of dollars worth of cards. The Babe Ruth, and I want to get this right, so I'm pulling up the exact numbers. The Babe Ruth jersey, lost where it was. Hang on, I'll cut this out. So here it is. So Babe Ruth's memorabilia continues to set market record where he had his called shot jersey from Game 3 of the 1932 World Series, and it sold for a record-breaking $24.12 million at the Heritage auctions. And now this makes it the number one most expensive sports collectible ever sold. That number is crazy. Do you think that's an individual buying that? I don't think there's any information that comes with this, but do you think that's a person buying that, or is it a group? Like,
I've always wondered that too, Kev. Like, is it like a VC who's like, hey, like I'm gonna flip this, or I'm just gonna put it in our lobby, or like, is it like, just some like psycho Yankees fan who's spending, like, how do you have a conversation with your wife? Because I'm assuming, like. This
person, I don't like this. I feel like this is him or her. It's a high net worth individual.
Yeah, like you go to like, hey, I just spent $1 million on a jersey I will never wear for a guy I never watched, because you're not alive if you saw Babe Ruth play baseball.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's tough. I mean, it could be someone's when they were a kid. Maybe it's a hero growing up, right?
Yeah, but even then, like 1929, you're not alive anymore.
1932
or 1932,
right?
You're not alive.
Calculate, right? So let's just do the math quick, right? So 2025 minus 1932 is what, 93. Yes,
Yeah, you're 93 years old and you're dropping $1 million. All right, fine, do it. Fuck it. Like you can't take it with you. But like, it's just a wild move because like, especially where like how much the game of baseball has changed. Like, Babe Ruth isn't hitting home runs today. Like Babe Ruth's a minor league player. Hot take from me.
Yeah, right. I mean, who knows, right? I mean, it's completely changed, but at the same time, I don't like to compare errors personally because I just think it's hard to make the comparisons. But at the same time, it's like I know it's a recognizable name, but 24 million. It's just there's probably a limited market of who can buy that, right?
Yeah.
And how much do you have net worth wise that you can spend 24 million? That's why I don't know. I wonder if it's an individual or if it's a group. If it's a group and they look at it as investment.
But like, is it
That
an investment though? Because like, you got to look at an investment over the course of however many years. And like, we both have children. I don't think that our kids are gonna really know who Babe Ruth is.
I know that's hard to. I mean, maybe with like some of like just like it'd be like a myth at that point in time. It's
Like,
almost getting to the point where it's a myth now.
yeah, 20 years from now, do you think like, our kids are gonna be like, oh yeah, Babe Ruth? I mean, besides like that's the name of every, like little league baseball league is Babe Ruth League. Like
Yeah,
no one's gonna know who Babe Ruth is.
or
He's
candy bar.
yeah,
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 right.
yeah, yeah. Like, he's not moving needles, and but baseball memorabilia has always been like kind of interesting to me.
And to put it into perspective for folks, right? That it surpassed the original Mickey Mantle 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle baseball card PSA 9. That in 2022 sold for 12.6 million. So not only did it take it over the number one spot, it almost nearly doubled it, which is crazy to me. Which I guess it's not apples to apples because it's a card to a jersey. But take another jersey reference, for example. Michael Jordan's 1998 NBA Finals jersey, arguably one of his marquee games, sold for 10 million back in 22. That's the highest price anyone paid for a game worn jersey. So if you're comparing it to memorabilia, almost doubled the first place previously. If you compare it to jerseys, it definitely doubled it and more than doubled it. The Jordan jersey, which is just crazy to me because so like it sets a new precedent, a new high for collectibles across the world for
Yeah,
sure.
but like with Jordan, he's at least in the lexicon of like pop culture. Like you can't go outside without seeing 15 people wearing his sneakers. Or, like he owns a NASCAR team. He just sold his NBA team. Like he's still somewhat relevant in the last 40 years of basketball. Who the fuck cares about Babe Ruth anymore? Like, who is that for?
Yeah, like the brand longevity of Jordan is going to be around a lot longer than Babe Ruth. Like Babe Ruth doesn't exactly. There's no Babe Ruth sneakers. There's no Babe Ruth logo, right? Like there's nothing there, right? So, and yeah, so bring it back to your point about an investment. Like, can that, like, if you're making any type of investment and it's not personal to you and you want to see a return off that, are you getting a
Like
20, 30, 40,
yeah.
50% return off that $24 million jersey?
Yeah.
I don't
Are you
know.
reselling that for $30 million? Because I have to imagine if you're going to, like, you want to resell it for $30 million. Are you getting $30 million for a Babe Ruth, like, jersey that you're, is, like, what is that paying off? It's very confusing to me. And baseball, it feels like, has the most memorabilia just because the game has existed for so long and there's so many, like, big moments of, like, a long time ago. But, like, that's just, I don't know. Hey, spend your money where you want, but that's a weird one.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm always wondering, like, it's like, is this both literally and figuratively a dying investment, right?
Yeah.
Because like if they think the sport and then they also think that the name, if you're looking for a return, I don't know. But again, maybe this isn't a person that's looking at it from an investment standpoint. Maybe it's personal to them and they couldn't put a price on it and then it drove up the auction, right? But that number tells me there was more than one individual involved in it, driving it up like that. It means there's some sort of bidding war to get it to that high. So that means there's multiple people with that amount of net worth that can go after this. Again, I'd love to know if it was a group,
tinfoil hat,
investors. Yeah,
some money laundering. Do you have like people trying to hide money in art? And it just
in
like
collectibles.
Trying to hide it that way.
I don't know
because like it just doesn't make sense. Like, I can't see if you're holding on to that sleeve for 10 years. 10 years from now.
I'll have to read more about it, like to see who it actually is. I feel like, if you were going to do that and you'd maybe want your name out there, maybe, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe you have much money. Like, what do you even care? But like, don't you want to be the one that brags? Like, look at me, I bought this $24 million jersey. I don't know. If you feel like you're going to drop that on cash, unless again, it was something that was ultra personal to you. And just a couple other notable, while we're on the subject, the Hornets Wagner card, 6.6 million back in 21. Mark McGwire's 70th home run ball from that 1998 season, and he had 3 million. So again, that 24 million just sends it's like an all-time new high. It's just really.
Do you know the story behind the Mark McGwire ball?
I don't know. I probably do if you told me, but go ahead.
So he hits the ball and this fan catches it, and the Cardinals come out to him. They're like, "Hey, we want that ball back." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll definitely give it to you. I just want to meet McGwire." They're like, "How about we give you season tickets and some signed bats?" He goes, "No, I just want to meet McGwire." And McGuire said, I don't want to meet him. So he said, fuck you. And he sold the ball for $3 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And so, but then that means so that was the sale.
Yeah.
That was the sale. Okay. Wow. I actually didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
actually very wild.
All he wanted to do. And like, he was probably around our age now.
Yeah.
But all he wanted to do was meet Mark McGuire because like he was he was a diehard Cardinals fan, and McGuire didn't want to come out and meet him. So he's like, all right, fuck you, dude. I'm going to go sell this. And, McGuire could have had this ball personally, or the Cardinals could have this ball personally. But because McGuire was kind of being a dick, this dude goes out and sells it. And, kind of like, sliding doors, that doesn't exist. Like that changes kind of the hobby trading.
Well, what would you have done with the ball? Would you have given it to McGuire as a keepsake?
If I got to hang out with McGuire, I think like I'm big on like the story of it. Like, hey, Mark, you got to go out to dinner with me, and then like maybe I try to talk him into like we go out to the club after, and I just have like a wild night with Mark McGuire, and then forever I have that story. And then me and Mark McGuire become best friends. We buy a timeshare in Key Largo together, and all because I gave him that ball.
Fair. I don't know, man. It is pretty wild how memorabilia gets up that high. But as you know, obviously there's a bunch of trading cards in the mix there as well. So it is pretty wild to see how high these things can get. And sports memorabilia is taking a serious forefront in terms of the amount of cash spent. And this definitely sets that new precedent for it. Now, in other news, right? You saw that there's a lot of people jumping into the hobby. A couple weeks ago, we were talking about Brady getting into the hobby now. But Fanatics is now launching Topps Rip Night across the country as well. And then also GameStop, I heard, was doing these Rip and Ship Nights. So what's your take on this kind of like back to in-person brick and mortar style of buying? I personally think it's pretty cool, but I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I think it's cool too. So, I live in like a, outside, a major city, but there's a few of those kind of like locations near me, and I've seen them like doing things where like you and I used to do stuff like this where we'd wait in line at GameStop for Madden drops, and we wait.
By the way, some of the funnest times ever is like I have fond memories just like waiting up for that midnight release.
We're wearing our jerseys. And when I saw a bunch of people in line wearing like random jerseys, I was like, oh, like that's cool. Like, at first I thought it was for a Madden, but then I realized it was out of season and they were there, just for cards, to see them, waiting outside, a gaming spot.
It's like part of their origin story. That's where we're spitting out hot takes.
Yeah.
These warm summer nights, late August.
Yeah. I'm wearing
Madden's coming out.
Wearing a Mike Vick jersey, and you have like a Seahawks Jerry Rice jersey. And we're just waiting to go back to my mom's basement to play Madden at 12:30 a.m.
Oh man, I'm feeling very nostalgic right now for sure, man. And so you know what? If these kind of like these Rip Nights have drive into that and kind of bring the community back together, especially it helps out these local businesses and these local hobby shops. Like I'm all for it. I love that because like part of what drove me to doing this podcast is I want to interact with more people and talk sports, talk cards, right? Get casually back into
awkward.
it, right?
You're awkward, so you need a way to talk to people. And if you just say,
that's my people, man.
Have you heard about my podcast? And people are like, oh, this fucking guy. Exactly. It's a way to connect people. And then I also think too, like this may argue against our point about baseball, but it's just a way to like swap stories of like you pull a card that's maybe not worth a lot, but like let me tell you about Mike Allstott. Like let me tell you about like the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're just sharing like stories of that. That's fun.
And it's so funny you said something like that. I was just having a conversation with an old friend about this. He's like, "Oh, what team did Keenan McCardell play on again?" And I was like, rattled off. I was like,
Chargers,
Bucks. Yeah, exactly. He sent me like a Steve Atwater card, and it's like, speaking of throwback, I had a Ricky Williams card that I pulled out, and I was like, oh man, they're like beasts. Yeah, right.
There's that old meme that like guys can have a full night just saying names of old athletes, and
that's like very true.
We very much can, but like that's probably why baseball memorabilia sells for so much, because like I think of like random 2003 Red Sox, like, hey, remember Bill Miller? Like, remember like Kevin Millar? Like those aren't big names, but like, if I had the opportunity to buy the whiskey bottle that they passed around in the 04 World Series, I might buy it for,
probably
$1 million. Yeah.
A couple million? You got that cash?
No, I don't. No, we need sponsors.
So yeah, but the cool thing part of it too is like it allows like the local card stores to benefit as well, which I don't know. People go back and forth on like whether local card stores are going to be around long term, especially with all like the online breaking and the social media scene that's coming about. So I think it's a good little way. Plus all the retail big box stores that are getting more and more shipments of cards. So I think it helps out the local card shops and the local businesses as well, which is awesome. Those are some of the funnest, coolest people you can ever chat with, who've been, especially those who've been in business a long time. I'm just thinking of my local card shop. It is that way, but there's a lot of them across the country. I know,
I
but
think
they also
yeah.
good.
I was gonna say, I think like there's gonna be opportunity for the right business people to create good card shops because like people, like we just had this, nationally, like, shop local day. And, you may not want to go to a Barnes and Noble or a Target or like they even sell them at the movie theater now. You want to go to like a well put together local business.
Exactly, yeah. And plus, like, you're not going into a Barnes and Nobles or a Walmart, opening up a pack, and then looking around you and being like, "Look what I just pulled."
Yeah.
Like everyone's gonna look at you like awkwardly and be like, "What is this guy talking about?" Right?
Yeah.
But if you're in a local card shop with other collectors that are like-minded, and you do that, like you can meet new friends, spark up a conversation, right? It creates this moment, which again, I'm all for.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you open the Cards with Kev, card shop, people are going to be lining up to hang out at your card store, Kevin.
Yeah, but like and so I'm not shocked GameStop is jumping into it as well
Yeah.
because like so for games, right? Games, I could see that industry going more digital, right? And cards and trading cards and memorabilia, that stuff is more like personal. You got to hold it, touch it, feel it, be in person to actually see it. So GameStop's getting in the action now, and they partner with a PSA. This is a grading company that you can grade a lot of your cards and memorabilia autographs. They do a number of different things, right? And they have these nights where it's like rip and ship. So you show up to a GameStop that night, open up trading cards. Like the Pokemon scene is huge. Like Magic the Gathering scene is huge, growing massively. But they also have sports cards, other cards like WWE cards, all there too. And if you pull something cool, they offer a service that you can just ship it right in and get it graded and sent back to you, which is kind of cool as well. So I wonder if they're going to package it. I don't know if they're doing this, but my hesitation or frustration, I do this all the time, is sending into PSA cards. It's like it costs a lot of money. Like right now, I think the cheapest you can send in like modern sports cards is $20 a cards, and they want a $20 minimum. So like for me, I need 20 cards that I'd want to get it shipped into grade, plus have to spend $400 on a minimum size order, which to me, it's like I gotta kind of wait up and save. Then what you gotta wait 90 days to get it back. So I'm wondering if because GameStop is going to do this in mass, can they offer some sort of like pricing and discounting, right? So if they could, you can go in there, buy a box, they profit, but they also get like a discount because they're bulk sending into PSA and the partnership that they have. And to me, it's kind of a good little deal that they have there. Plus, it brings the community element into it, like we were just talking about.
Educate me here, Kevin. How long does it take, like truly, for them to like inspect a card to grade it? Like, what's the time?
So you can pay for that if you want it to be done fast. There's all types of breakpoints, right? Like you could do, if you wanted to come overnight, it could be like a couple $1,000s, right? But you can get it back maybe like a week, rushed ordered, right? But again, it's going to cost you. But the average medium kind of bulk trade grade type of thing, that's usually around like, I don't know, you can get specials down to $12 a card to $20 a card, just rough estimates. It changes. They have seasonal deals that go on all the time. But again, the typical turnaround time is like 60 to 90 days. So a little bit of a risk there. So say you pull this incredible auto of say, a brand new studded rookie coming out, and while the season's going on, you ship it in. A week goes by, that rookie gets hurt and he's out for the season. Like you sent it in, you paid to get it graded with the intent of flipping it, and you're kind of out of luck here now, right? So it's like there's a timing element to that thing, and also too, it's like there could be some market saturation. Like right now, I just looked at a recent chart, and Wemby's still the number one person that's getting graded at this point in time. So the more people that are grading Wemby cards, there's just going to be more of Wembys out there that are graded, and that is going to obviously cause the prices to go down because there's just more available. So, it depends on a lot of different factors, but I think it's cool that GameStop is making it easier and more accessible to the average collector. Like that's the important thing to take away from this.
Yeah, no, I think it sounds like there needs to be like either more technology or more resource to get this done faster, so you avoid those like my dude just blew out his ACL.
Yeah, because I've gone exactly. Yeah, so that. But again, they're taking in so many cards. Like the hobby is growing quickly, and they're processing. I can't even guess how many cards they're processing on the week by the week. But yeah, the process isn't. I mean, it's easy once you've done it once. But you have a very expensive card in your hand. Doing this for the very first time. You got to ship it in the mail. Do I get insurance? Do I not? Did I send the right person in? Did I sort them all right? Do I have it in the right card saver, the sleeve? Is that all correct? Is it packed securely? Did I send it to the right place? Right? It's kind of nerve wracking. And then they got to wait 60 to 90 days to get it back or to figure out whether you did it right or not. They'll help you out. But at the same time, once you've done it once, it's not bad, but it's a daunting task for someone to do it who's just getting into the hobby. And again, my main point here is that the fact that GameStop is going to make that easier, it's a win-win for both collectors and them. All right, so let's shift gears though. Let's jump into our 3 up and our 3 down. And we were looking at 14 days, minimum 100, 200 sales of cards that are taking place in the hobby, or trading and price changing in the hobby. And number 1 on the list, based off that search, is Jaden Daniels. So Jaden Daniels is coming back. His base cards up 48%, and a couple of other cards are up pretty high as well. A lot of base, and I think obviously it just speaks to the people who are putting up a lot of Jaden Daniels and trading him out. But obviously that awesome run is impacting it as well. What is your take, Jordan?
So we talked a little about this, on our last run, but Jaden Daniels, he has very much that like calm demeanor. It's going to be curious for me, like when he like kind of hits that Lamar Jackson like ceiling of great seasons and can't win in the postseason. Will he still have the same value? Because he is a game breaker. Like obviously incredible rookie year. I'm a Pats fan, so I'm comfortable with Drake May. But I think there's probably 25, 26 other teams out there that would take Jaden Daniels in a heartbeat. And it makes sense for him to see all this run. But, year 2 is going to be big, because he could also have a less than stellar year 2. And then I imagine all those people are like, fuck.
Oh, yeah, dude, but you got to remember, and I got to remember to do this more just to help kind of share my knowledge. The hobby loves speculation, absolutely loves speculation. So it's the chase of the unknown and what this person could be. Is this a generational talent? Is this the next Pat Mahomes, right? Is this the next Brady? Which it's blasting those guys in the same sentence. But at the same time, like people love the chase. People love the unknown. And plus this recent news about Deebo Samuel being traded to the Commanders. I saw something even just this morning where it was like, it didn't change their Super Bowl odds in Vegas at all. After the trade happened, stayed exactly the same. They're still plus 1,800. So, I'm wondering if that's going to fuel more of the hobby speculation now that it seems like he's got a new weapon to play with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see, or like, I'd be curious, like going into this new football season on a week-to-week basis. Let's say like week 1, Jaden Daniels throws like 5 touchdowns, 3 to Deebo. Are people like, buying like crazy because like this guy's going to have an MVP year?
That's how it works, man.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I love that stuff. It's like fantasy football, where everyone wants to trade for or pick up the guy who just had 3 touchdowns week 1 and then he never plays again.
Right. Exactly. I'm still bullish on Jaden Daniels. I mean, I think just coming out of that run, NFC Championship in his first year, I think he's more of a pocket passer than Lamar Jackson, which I think is exciting people a lot. Like, I'm always big on the guys that are like run to throw. So like Lamar Jackson, like he's a runner. He's a designed run guy. Like he's in there, makes crazy plays. He can throw on the run, obviously, but more of a run first type of guy and can pick it up with his legs. Whereas like Pat Mahomes, he uses his legs to get a pass open, right? He just kind of throws that thread out. They're not designing runs every other play for Pat Mahomes. Like on a 4th and 2, 4th and 3, got to have it. Like, will they run them, design play? Yeah, but majority of the time, he's not that run first guy. And I think that Jaden Daniels, if he's leaning more towards that Pat Mahomes camp, is what excites people and what's fueling a lot of the speculation. So next on the list, though, is Caitlin Clark. And we were wrong on our last episode. We saw her trending downward. And this is why, obviously, we talk about the data on a weekly basis. We saw her trending down. I thought she was hitting a bit of a bubble. Turns out, no, she's actually seeing a bit of a surge. And her prices are up 20, 30% across the board as well. And I've seen one of her base cards, Prism Base, it's like $50 right now. And it's pretty wild to see how much she's surging. I know she's the face of the WNBA. And I know that Obviously, she's extremely marketable, but when is it gonna pop? Because there has to be a ceiling to her prices. I think.
I don't think there's a ceiling right now. Like there will be a ceiling, but I don't think we've even come close. Like this girl is going to change everything. Like she already has. Like her agent made that comment about like she will never be compensated for what she's worth to the WNBA. We're going to see expansion teams. They're probably going to play more international games. Like international women's basketball is already big. That's why most of these girls play like in Russia or wherever, because like they get more money out there. But Caitlin Clark is going to change the fucking game. She's probably, I guarantee, going to be the first $1 million a year WNBA player. And her value is just going to keep going up. Like, I think anything less than 3 WNBA championships for her is a letdown.
I mean, the WNBA rather has to invest in her and her presence for sure. Like she's the most marketable face, arguably, that they've ever had, right? Since like Candace Parker, right? She's such a household name and face. That tournament season last year was electric, right? So they better protect and keep her. Because I think at one point in time, people were saying that she was thinking about maybe going overseas or something like that, or leaving the league. Whatever they got to do, they got to keep her in that league, because they'd be crazy if they screw that one up.
Yeah, no, I think everyone's just gonna throw the bag at her. Like I'm sure her State Farm endorsements, or she's buddies with Taylor Swift now. Yeah, but like I think the only thing for her is just like keep her body healthy. Invest in her body, and but keep buying Caitlin Clark. There's some great like other girls around, like that I like Paige or someone else, but she's great. Big Caitlin Clark fan.
I think we are. And the other one that is up is Arch Manning. So 2024 Prism draft picks base up 20% this week. Again, the price change is pretty significant. It's still around $10, but the volume's still more or less the same. But 218 cards have sold in the past 2 weeks. So Arch Manning's getting a little bit of speculation. I'm not going to lie, I'm not the biggest college football fan around this time of year. But what do you know about Arch Manning? Any scouting report?
I mean, my big scouting report is, just an undying hate for the Manning family. We've made it very clear, we're Boston guys. So, I've never seen a Manning that I liked, like post-career, like Peyton and Eli, like, they're funny guys. But if Arch Manning goes to a team that tortures me, I mean, he showed during the season, when Quinn Ewers went down, he was great. I think he's probably going to have a great year. Probably be top 5 in the Heisman voting, probably a top 5 pick, but there's just something about the Mannings that I just will always hate.
Yeah, no, I definitely share in the Manning hatred. But my take is like speculation, QB speculation. People love the QB coming out of college that is on the rise and could have potential. So I think people are probably scooping him up. On the downside, if you think about people that are trending downward, Cooper DeJean is down 60% over the past 14 days. So what I think happened with Cooper DeJean is like football. They had the Super Bowl high with him, and they just probably panic bought him and had a bunch of speculation, thought he might blow up, but probably a little bit of buyer's remorse now that he seems to be trending down. His base Prism card is down 60%, probably because people just probably bought it and then now offloading it, so the price has dipped down immensely now that the Super Bowl media cycle is dropped as well. Yeah, this is actually a funny one too. I guess the Jason Kelsey 2025 Topps first pitch inserter variant was selling decently, but it dropped 50% in price. So there's Topps does this a lot. They do like the sports crossover. Like they had a Wemby card, like rookie card crossover, but now they have they had a Travis Kelsey, and that seemed to spike up around the Super Bowl hype time frame. And this one dropped about 50% in value. So not shocked about people. Obviously, so Caitlin Clark's market is surging. There was also some news that came out this week too around Logan Paul potentially selling his $5.3 million Pokemon Grail card. And so if you don't know Jake Paul, boxer, famous YouTuber, and he set the Guinness World Record for the most expensive Pokemon card ever sold. And it's this gold Pikachu that's extremely rare. I think it's a 1-on-1 that he wears in a chain around his necklace. He wore it to WrestleMania. He was recently posting on social media that he is putting it up for sale. What, like, do you think this thing retains value? What do you think this is worth? Do you think it's worth 5.3?
So I was never a big Pokemon guy. I actually, growing up, used to get in trouble for taking my brother's Pokemon cards and putting them in the bathtub.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was a real heel. But Logan is also a heel. So anything these fucking guys touch turns to gold, even when they're just snake oil salesmen. Like they got their Lunchables in their prime, and it's all scam companies, but their value keeps going up. So yeah, it probably retained its value. Someone probably pays big money for it. But yeah, I have a lot of opinions on Logan Paul as a wrestler because, as you know, Kev, I love some wrestling.
I know. And so this card is extremely rare. So I just looked it up. Only one has ever been produced. It's a PSA 10. He built this whole social media campaign prior to WrestleMania, and bought it for $5,275,000. And he owns the Guinness World Record for the most expensive private sale of a trading card. So
he's the Maverick.
Enlighten me though. Does he wears that at WrestleMania? Does that make the value go up?
So this was an old WrestleMania. This was a couple of years ago at WrestleMania that he wore that. And I think like that, just like that's just him. Like we say, you buy these expensive things. What do you do with them? Do you put them in your living room? Do you, like, he's gonna wear it? Like, how else are you gonna show people you just bought a $5 million card? You wear it around your neck at an event that has 100,000 people at it, that has 5 million people watching it. He's kind of he's taking it out right there, and he's showing us how big it is.
See, he bought it in April of 22, which coincides with the WrestleMania time frame. So he brought it right before WrestleMania 38. But what I'm saying is, like, does it increase in value because he wore it at WrestleMania? And
I think so.
He resells it for $10 million? No way.
Honestly,
we talked about it earlier. Like, I just don't believe that.
I'm gonna say, if he actually sells it, if it sells for less than $8 million, I would be shocked. And I know nothing about Pokemon. Nothing. I played Pokemon Go with everyone else. But I know nothing about Pokemon. If this card sells for less than $8 million, I will be shocked, just because of how big this the Logan Paul is.
Oh, it's definitely a rare sought after card. Pikachu is one of the, obviously.
But I'm just saying him. I think he can drive the value up. Just because of who he is. Him. He gets it pushed over $8 million.
I don't think he gets. I wonder why he's flirting selling with it now. I don't know. Do you think he can make a guest appearance at WrestleMania again this year?
Oh no, he is a full-time wrestler, Kevin.
Oh, so he's in. He's in. Oh wait, I'm thinking of Jake Paul. I'm thinking of
Jake Paul's the boxer. Jake Paul's the boxer.
Oh,
Logan Paul.
My bad. Okay,
Logan Paul.
That's right.
Yeah, so Logan Paul wore it. Yeah, so Logan Paul wore it. Logan Paul is a phenomenal wrestler. He is. He is the perfect heel. So if you think back to, like, Eddie Guerrero or like Razor Ramon, like these just like perfect heels, that is Logan Paul, because everyone hates him personally. Like his videos, like just who he is. Everyone hates him. He plays into it. Last night was Elimination Chamber, and he was a real motherfucker to the crowd. He's like flipping them off. They're all chanting, "Fuck you, Logan. We hate you, Logan." This is a crowd in Toronto, Canadian nice boys, and they're all just yelling and arguing with him while he sits in the chamber and just tell them to go fuck themselves.
That's awesome. I love the passion. I get into WrestleMania 50% once a year during WrestleMania.
This WrestleMania is going to be huge, Kevin. It's going to be the biggest WrestleMania. WrestleMania 41. It's the biggest WrestleMania, and I know you didn't want me to talk about it. We're going to talk a little about it. John Cena turning heel. What does that do to his value on the memorabilia market?
You tell me. I don't know. I have no idea. Like, what does it do? What does
John
it do?
Cena, you know who John Cena is. He's he's a poster boy for nice guys. He has the record for the most Make-A-Wish visits. So no one has ever cared more about dying children than John Cena. And last night, he broke everyone's heart. I have to tell my son that John Cena is now a bad guy. And how dare he? I'm devastated to have to break this news. John Cena, his whole slogan is never give up, hustle, loyalty, respect. And John Cena and The Rock just bashed Cody Rhodes' face in as Elimination Chamber ended, because John Cena is now corporate Cena. And I was looking, and it hasn't moved much of his memorabilia, hasn't changed the prices, but John Cena being a bad guy, it's going to move merch. at WWE headquarters, but I'm curious how it affects his memorabilia.
All right, we'll check in on that one next week because I'm actually curious to see how it is. It just this is fresh, hot off the press. It just
Hot
literally
off
just
the front.
happened over
Yeah,
the
this is
weekend.
bigger than when Hogan went heel in the early 2000s, late 90s.
All right, I love it. We're gonna check back in, and obviously, as we get closer to WrestleMania, we'll do a deep dive on wrestling cards just in general because I know WWE cards have seen a massive surge pretty recently. All right, let's get to the mailbag questions. Bring this one home and land this plane. So, all right, so this is a good question. This was sent over Instagram. Again, if you have anything for the mailbag for us or questions, submit them. No such thing as a bad collect. No such thing as a bad take or a bad question. So drop us a email at collectthesetakes or DM us a lot easier at Instagram at collectthesetakes. But the question we got on Instagram was, I'm a new collector. Should I buy a hobby box, a retail box, or just invest in individual cards? And I can take this one. Really simple for me. And it's do what you like. I know that's a high level overview. I know that's very cookie cutter, but the first question you got to ask yourself is, what do I want to do and what do I enjoy and what do I like? Because it's your money. If it's entertaining to you, opening products entertaining to you, do it. Now, that being said, if you want to be efficient with your money, then obviously you have the ability to go in and look at some retail boxes. There's mega boxes. There's options for everybody. You can definitely open up cards, but you got to know when you go into it that when you're opening cards, it's pure entertainment, and you might get absolutely nothing. So you can spend $100, maybe get $5 back. You can spend $100 and maybe you hit this $1,000 card in there, right? It's definitely possible within retail, but know there's limits and know that you're not guaranteed to get what you want. So simple math. If you're going to spend $100 on a retail box, or you're going to spend $100 to go buy an individual card that you really, really want, buy the individual card that you want. Don't risk it on the box. Now, hobby boxes get into a whole different echelon and ball game, but I know they are really popular. So I try to maybe get a hobby box once or twice a year. I set limits for myself because for hobby boxes, like a Prism football hobby box this year, guess how much you think that box goes for, Jordan?
I have no idea. $100.
Nope. So the $100 is for the retail stuff, like the cheaper stuff. What do you think some of the more expensive stuff gets to for football?
$600.
So it's double. That's $1,600 for a
Jeez.
NFL Prism hobby box, and that's what I last checked about a day or two ago. Right? It could go up, it could go down, but it's probably not going down, especially with this rookie class that we've been talking about. So if you're opening up hobby boxes, like again, you could get $100 back from that $1,600 buy. And you could buy a lot of individual players that you specifically want and some awesome cards, like a card show or on eBay or some of the other trading locations, right? So whether you're going to take the $1,600 and buy the cards you want or completely roll the dice, be ready to gamble that. And it's important to know that. And that's the advice that I give to first-time collectors is do what you like within your means, right? Don't let anyone tell you that it's stupid to rip boxes, it's stupid to rip retail or any particular product. Like if you enjoy it, it's pure entertainment value. If you're going to spend that money at a bar or at a dinner, like spend it on opening it up if that's what you enjoy. But if you're going into it, spending $1,600 and you really want a Drake May silver rookie card, right? Don't expect just because you spend $1,600 that you're going to get that. Go buy it for like $200 or $300, and then you have tons of extra cash ready to play with. So
yeah, that seems like the more logical move. I mean, again, I'm a guy who knows nothing, but I think if you're going to spend $1,600, buy 4 players you like at $400 each instead of buying one box that could yield you nothing.
Another great question that we got to was, how can I tell if I have a rare or a parallel or a short print card? So it depends. Some products, they have it on the back. They have things like refractor on the back. They put the actual parallel on the back of the card and they would tell you. Some of the even bigger name products, they do not. This is something that you have to research and look up on your own. And there's tools out there. Like we were talking about Market Movers a lot. We were talking about Card Ladder before in the past. You can go on eBay and search it and filter it by sold cards. But yeah, it's important. There's websites like Cardboard Connection out there and a bunch of other tools, but it really is important to use the tools that exist out there. There's also card scanning tools, but they're not always 100% accurate. But the important thing is if you look up your cards, look it up on eBay, use the colors, use the tools that are out there to know what they are. And then you'll be able to know what you have. And if you want to DM it to us, I'm happy to answer it for you. So shoot us a DM, send me a picture of the card. I'll answer it for you as the friendly Collect These Takes account. So again, if you guys have questions for the mailbag, drop it at Collect These Takes at Instagram, or email us at collectthesetakes@gmail.com. As always, we appreciate you all. Catch you all on the next one.